Hello, my name is David Penner, and this is my Module 8 assignment for EDL 851, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluation. In this assignment, we had to read 3 articles and provide a summary for each. The first article was an article from NEA about the ESSA, or Every Student Succeeds Act, and the provisions that it provides. The first is that it prohibits the Secretary of Education from changing the state's education system, including the teacher evaluation process and also teacher effectiveness. This act also requires each state to develop short-term, long-term, and intermediate goals for how to evaluate teachers. Then it also leaves the states up to determine how they want to develop their teacher evaluation system. Within this, there's also some bargaining and advocacy implications. The first is the savings clause, which preserves the right to bargain evaluation, as long as your state already has that in their bargaining. NEA also gives the toolkit for principals in order to change some contract language in order to implement or modify evaluations. It also goes to show that test scores do not necessarily improve instructional practices or really reflect on teacher effectiveness. And then also includes improvement plans and due process, which should be considered for each state as well. The second article looked at several court cases that AFT and NEA have brought to different state levels in order to challenge the procedural and substantive complaints found in several different states. There's the challenging of the new system taking place in both New Mexico and finished up in Louisiana. The challenge to grade components are found in Tennessee and Florida. There's the challenging of fairness in accounts to student poverty, which is pretty low in New York, and then also ELL learners in Texas, and then how it affects tenure for teachers in Nevada as well. Each one of these court cases is challenging different aspects to the teacher evaluation process. The third article is known as, or is titled, Teacher Evaluation, an Issue Overview. And in this article, there's several key questions that were covered. The first is, why is teacher performance evaluation an issue? Well, there's a quote in there that states that top performing teachers help students gain more than a grade's worth of learning throughout the year, while students who were taught by the worst teachers achieved less than half a year of learning. So it's very important for there to be teachers and effective teachers that are teaching our students, because that really can affect how much learning actually takes place by the student throughout the year. How do the new teacher evaluation systems work? Well, it's a little bit more complex than what was previously used in the past and the checklist that principals had in the past. We now have a federal law that states that student test scores need to be added to the evaluation process. There's a model, a value added model that is being used as a relation in order to show what actual effectiveness the teacher is providing for the students. And then also there's some gray areas with the growth measures that are being used in the evaluation process and how that actually works for the school, the state, and also the individual teachers. So how did the unions respond? Well, the unions responded with concerns. Concerns of how the test scores will affect their teacher evaluations, concerned with teachers who tend to have more special ed students than other teachers and how that affects their evaluation process. Are they evaluated in a negative site because their students usually test lower? And then also there's a concern with performance. So what evidence is there of the new teacher evaluation process that it's succeeding? There's still some unclear evidence. A lot of studies that are gone on showed that there can be a boost in student performance with this evaluation model. It also can boost teacher evaluation scores, so teachers that scored lower throughout the year, the previous year, when notified, have gotten better scores the next year. It also shows that more than likely this is going to be a centralized topic in education for teachers, states to all continue to look over and review. Here at Rose Hill in USD 394, we use the KEEP 2 process for our evaluation process. It's our Kansas Educators Evaluation Protocol, or version 2 of that. It still covers 4 constructs: the learner and learning that's taking place in the classroom, content knowledge that the teacher has, instructional practices that they use while teaching, and then also professional responsibility. In these 4 constructs, there's several subcategories, and in these subcategories, teachers are evaluated as being ineffective, developing, effective, or highly effective. Here's kind of just a summary of showing those different subcomponents found underneath each one of those 4 main constructs. So in this evaluation system, there's 6 criteria that are covered: continual improvement, differentiated performance, evidence and artifacts, regular evaluations, feedback, and equity. And the procedure follows a strict timeline and deadlines. It usually starts at the beginning of the year with orientation to the evaluation process and the procedures that the district is doing. Then the educator will go ahead and complete a self-assessment and develop goals for the year. Then throughout the year, there'll be a formal observation and then ongoing informal observations, artifacts that will be collected and presented by the teacher, and then also data collection by the principal. Instructional practice protocol summary rating will then be assigned to the teacher from the principals, and then the student performance summary and final summative rating will be assigned by the principal to the teacher. At the end of all this, we meet with our principal, we evaluate our results of our observations, and we talk our way through each one. If we have an inaccurate evaluation or we feel like we've been inaccurately evaluated, we do have in our negotiated agreement the ability to argue against that evaluation, and which we would actually have a written document presented to us. We then go usually about signing that document if we agree. However, if we do not agree, we usually have 2 weeks after that presentation or that meeting with our principal in order for us to respond to in writing that evaluation and where we thought we were maybe misevaluated. The court case I decided to review was Louisiana Federation of Teachers versus Louisiana, which was filed back in June of 2012. This was one that I thought was very interesting in reading our second document for this assignment. In this court case, the Federation of Teachers for Louisiana argued that the 2012 law tying teacher evaluation to tenure actually and pay scales violated the constitutional provisions requiring legislation to pertain to only one topic. I thought it was interesting that this court case actually was reversed a couple of times. First, at the state court level, there was a judge that initially let the provisions stand, but after a second review struck down the law in March of 2013. However, in October of 2014, the state Supreme Court reversed the lower court's ruling and allowed for the provisions to once again stand. The union then went about saying that they would seek further changes through other legislature. After reading these several articles and reviewing the court case, I think it's important to reflect upon the evaluation process and how it will look as a future principal. I think it's important for not only the district, but you as a principal to have a clear vision on what this evaluation process looks like and how you want it to look inside your school. I think it's also important to take in uh, the state statutes that are put in place and how that's going to affect your evaluation process. I think it's important to align with the education associations in protecting your teachers' rights. As an evaluator, I think it's important to be fair and just as you evaluate the teachers. Some need to be evaluated and told how they can improve. Others need to be evaluated and told that they're doing a good job. I also think that it's important to tie the evaluation process to professional development as well. We want our teachers to improve, and in areas where they're lacking maybe or struggling, we can maybe give them professional development opportunities as well. I think that will be important. I also think as an evaluator, it's important to get professional development in those areas so that we can become better at evaluating our teachers and being fair in that whole process. Well, this is my assignment for Module 8. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks and have a good day.